Hey everyone, Brendan Center here. How are you? Got Vito joining me.
Back.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah.
Right, we did a video recently where we discussed the albums of Motley Crue,
Yes.
kind of rating them, comparing them, right? And that one, I had a lot of fun.
I did too. I enjoyed it. And the best thing about it was my wife liked it.
Yeah.
So we must have did something right.
That's right, you must have done something right, exactly.
Yeah.
If you can get loved ones involved in this, is she a fan of music too or not?
She is a little more wider range.
Okay.
She's really not into what I listen to.
Right. But she enjoyed the video, and
She did.
Right, and that's all that matters. I've got friends like that too that don't listen to my kind of music, but they actually enjoy watching the videos because of the interaction. It's like watching a documentary. You might not be into the subject matter, but if they make it really good, you can enjoy it.
Yes.
Right? Well, that's our goal here anyways, is to have fun conversation.
Yes.
And this time, we're going to talk about, discuss, and compare the albums of Metallica. And this kind of came out the same way from the last time where you watched one of my albums, hated albums in my music collection,
Yes.
number 3. And I was hesitant to even put this in there, but I did put Metallica's Saint Anger in there. And I don't totally hate the album, but I think it's definitely in some need of editing, and I don't like the mix on it. And so it's one of those ones that whenever I look at the catalog, I'm like, no, and I skip it and I go past it.
I get it.
But
Bob,
you like it.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the recording of the album.
Right.
However,
The mix.
Yes. However, if I remember correctly, when the CD was released, it came with a DVD
Yes. Of
of them actually playing the full album.
full album live, like working up towards a tour,
Yes,
rehearsal.
and
Yeah.
the sound of that really cut through
Right.
what the album actually sounded like.
I agree, and I was so upset that they didn't give that as a CD too. It was a DVD that was in there.
Yes.
And it was like, I would love that as a live album, and maybe when they do the box set for this, they will.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to change anything on this.
They
you know,
won't.
because you look at Injustice for All, everybody complains about the bass.
They had an opportunity when they just did the anniversary box set of this to fix the bass.
Yeah.
And they
When
chose
you
not
go
to.
back and you listen to Injustice, when you go back
Yeah.
and remember listening to Injustice for All, you never said, "Oh my God, the fucking bass." It's hindsight.
That's right. It's all
so
hindsight.
maybe Metallica, they're doing the right thing by leaving it alone, because that's the record that broke them, that gave
Yeah.
them
It's
that
a-
next level madness before the Black Album, right? So maybe just
It's a
let
moment
the
in
sleeping
time.
dog lie.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's a moment in time you capture. It's like a piece of art. You don't go back and touch up the Mona Lisa.
which is why take Coverdale with the remixes.
Yeah.
Fuck it, the holy relics will always be
They
there.
will be there.
But
Yeah.
And fans are a little touchy too, because if they do go back and add the bass or increase it,
then they're gonna bitch
Then
anyway.
they're going to complain. Why'd you touch the album? It was
Yes.
perfect the way it was.
Right. It was a masterpiece.
lose.
But I mean, I would still like to have the box set where it has a remix in it.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
You know, I don't want them to change it. Megadeth went and changed their albums, and I loved that they did it. But at the same time, they replaced their entire catalog, and it was like, okay, this one has a different guitar solo. They took this out, like Risk. They completely remixed
Remixed it.
You know, and again, it was cool to get those. And I kept my original copies. But for people out there that could no longer get the original albums, that I don't like. I don't want bands to ever replace their catalog.
Choice.
Yeah, you want choice.
Yes.
But all right, so here's my thing. We'll come back to Saint Anger, but Metallica's done this a number of times where they build up to one thing and then they make a 180-degree shift into something else. And of course, Master of Puppets they broke huge on, and it's, in my opinion, that's their heaviest album.
I agree.
And then they come back with the Black Album, which is the huge explosion where they broke through to every level.
They just broke right through the ceiling.
That's right.
To a whole nother level.
And I love this album. This was my first Metallica album, my gateway album. I had tried Master of Puppets back when that came out. My friends were raving about it, kind of thing, and I put it on. I thought it was just noise. I was into the glam metal stuff. And it wasn't until I did the Black Album where I could go back. But there's a huge differential between the sound of these two albums. And they've done that with other ones too. But like, how do you feel about that when a band makes the big change?
I'm excited about it because if we go
Okay.
back to our last video talking about Motley, it was the same thing. Generation Swine was totally nothing what we would have expected from Motley Crue.
Right.
I like it. I like my artists to feel that they can do
Yeah.
whatever they feel like doing
Okay.
to satisfy their creativity. It's up to me as a fan.
Whether you're going to come along for the ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I hear that. And I do completely agree that an artist should do what satisfies their creativity. My concern is when the artists jump on a bandwagon like a lot of the glam metal bands did with grunge.
Yes.
That I didn't like, and I didn't think it sounded genuine. But I was not into a lot of that sound, and then the bands that I loved the way they already sounded started to sound like that sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was already coming into it with a negative opinion. Maybe if I was just hearing it to hear it, I would feel differently.
Do you think that there's certain bands
Mm-hmm.
that can push that envelope and get away with it?
Yeah, there is.
Metallica
They're
was
one of them.
Metallica is able to do that because their fan base is so rabid and strong.
Right. I mean,
Motley was good.
they did it again, going from the
Yeah.
Black Album to Load and Reload, and and then from essentially Load and Reload, they had some stuff in between here with the Garage Incorporated and whatnot, but to this. So you're right. Metallica is a band that can do whatever they want. They've long talked about that, said doesn't matter what they do, their fans are going to come along.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, and I do like that. And I love all the albums in their own way, even Saint Anger. I mean, what year did this come out? Like 2001 or something? 2003? Okay, so this is 21 years old, and I'm still trying to
Get into it.
get into it. I just feel like if they had edited the songs, they're too long and drawn out. There's a lot of change in them, but of course there's no guitar solos. There's sort of that syncopated rhythm, the thing that they tried to do throughout this. But if they had edited this down, even if they kept the sound the way that it is, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Do you think maybe they put their trust in Bob Rock a little too much? Based
I don't
on
think Bob Rock had anything to do with it. And personally, just from watching the documentary and stuff, I mean, I don't think he was like, oh, we got to change our sound, we got to do it. It sounded like it was something that James and Lars really wanted to do. Kirk sounded like he was completely against it.
Yes.
And Bob Rock did what he was supposed to do. Well, not supposed to, but I mean, he supported the band. That's what you want to do. That's what we'll do. I think if they had had an outside person at that point, because Bob Rock was too engaged by having done the Black Album, the Load Reload. He had been around for, I don't know what time they started the Black Album, but that came out in what, 91?
91.
So at least 12 years he's been with the band at this point. I think they took a solid year recording that album. So even 13 years. And he was too ingrained. And then he's playing bass on the album.
Yes.
So now it's like, he's a member of the band. He's
He was locked in, I think.
Yeah,
he was locked in.
But I got the impression that no one person was really on board with what this was, and it kind of grew out of Lars had his thing, James had his thing, Bob Rock tried to bring his part to this, the mixing guy tried to bring his part, and the album became what the album became, but the band was completely falling apart.
Basically, it was almost like a 5-lane highway going into one.
Yeah, exactly. And it didn't quite come out. I think if you could get a real opinion from all the members, and they're never going to go on and say, we fucked up here. I think they would say it didn't come out the way that we wanted it to come out. But again, it's a moment in time. And I don't think they'll ever go back and change it.
No. But just out of curiosity, how would you feel if they decided, hey, you know what, we're going to re-record this album with the sound that you're accustomed to?
Yes, but they don't even need to do that. They can go and just remix this. And the reason I say that is did you buy the CD single of Some Kind of Monster that was released to promote
I did.
the documentary?
I did not.
The very end of it, I think it's just called an edit. They don't call it a remix.
What's that?
The drum sound is gone. They removed that
Really?
crazy little bit of guitar wah-wah thing that they did in there, edited the song down, and gave it the sound of a traditional Metallica album.
I'll have to look for
It
that.
is phenomenal. The song is killer. And I go, wow, if you did that, you certainly do it to the rest of these.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, though, with the lack of guitar solo. And as you said, the documentary, Kirk was complaining about the whole thing.
Right.
But you see, though, that scene with Bob Rock, he was very influential. Well, how great would it be if there were none? So he was kind of pushing it a little bit to be different.
Yes, and that's what they were trying to do, though. They were trying, I mean, this is my take from the documentary. They were trying to create a new sound. They sort of were like, let's start a new movement, a new genre, a new thing. They're making a new sound. They're doing something they've never done. This was a creative project. I don't think this is them trying to jump on a bandwagon. That's why I can accept it. There weren't metal bands around sounding like this. They were literally trying to reinvent the wheel. And even though there's not a lot new for this was completely new and different from Metallica. And metal thrash bands were not sounding like this yet. We had a few coming behind them that were already doing it that I don't think were influenced by this. We had Megadeth, Countdown to Extinction. We had Testament, The Ritual, things like that. They were all moving that way.
Agreed.
And they essentially created a new sound, and metal became a new thing. Commercialized, right.
Yeah, commercialized metal.
And I think that's what they tried to do with this. I think that they were saying, not make it commercial, but it was like, let's reinvent metal again.
Yeah.
Let's do it. This stuff is kind of dying off, and we're kind of tired of it. Let's reinvent it.
Yeah, I agree.
And they tried to do it, and it didn't work. And they came back with what I think is a phenomenal album, Death Magnetic. But a lot of people hate this.
No, I like
Great
it.
album.
I
You like-
like it too, but I almost, when I listen to it, I could almost hear the click track going through it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know
if I
I don't think it's there per se, but I
I know
can
it in
almost
your mind.
imagine the click track going.
Get that.
You know?
What you're saying.
The song though, where is it? The Day That
It
Never Comes.
Great song.
I think is one of the best songs they've ever written.
Yeah. And I tell you,
The
and I love
soloing on that. The guitar playing on it is phenomenal.
Yes.
I mean, Kurt came back full on, spades, everything he could give out. That was the greatest song to put forward, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the first track.
I
off
would
of this
definitely
thing.
say their last three albums were going back to.
They're-
I think they found what their niche was. They don't want to change no more,
Okay.
and let's be.
But these
Metallica.
two, which you're right, they've
Yeah.
gone back to what they sound like. Now, though, I think it's forced. Now I feel like they're trying too hard to be what they were, and they can't. You can't. They're not writing in that style. They're not. At different times for different people. I get it.
Yeah.
But now they're trying to make the old albums. That's how I feel with these, and they just don't have the character and interest.
Yeah, Hardwire to me is kind of a cross between Master and Justice. That's what I get from
Yeah.
that. I find it to be very riffy.
I feel it's too raw. It's like a garage band. It's based.
And was that Rubin? Rick Rubin?
It
this one?
is,
Okay.
and I just thought it'd be better than that.
Okay.
Now, granted, I'm also a bit jaded in the fact that they released it as a double album when the two CD set could have fit on one CD. So it's like, 35 or 40 minutes, not even 40 minutes.
And this one also came with the third CD, I think, with
It
some cover
did.
songs on it.
And I love that. Yeah, there's like 12 songs with live songs, cover songs. Outtake, they'd released that single, something about summer, the year before. They put that on it. It was really worth it. It was a 3 CD set for the price of a single disc.
Yes.
And made you feel like you were getting more. Now, see, the thing is, I believe, I don't know, but I believe the reason they released it as a double album is when you sell 250,000 copies, it equals 500, they make a gold record. So they immediately come out and they're like, we've got a gold record, and then ultimately it says platinum. And it looks bigger, and it looks like it's selling more when it's not. And otherwise, I have no idea why they would have broken it in two halves. I don't think the songs sound any different. That our production isn't any different.
No.
It doesn't feel like, oh, these are really two separate sounding things, and I see why they wanted to do it.
I just think they wanted to go back a little bit to the longer songs. It was a nice, like I said, it was a nice mix of like those two albums for me.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, I love the album when it came out. I just have to say it is one of those ones I don't really go back to.
Okay.
Nothing ever really held me. Not like Death Magnetic. I feel like there were standout songs. When I hear that, there's a lot of peaks and valleys. Goes up and down. I don't get that on this album, and I really don't get it on 72 Seasons. I feel like that is, I don't know how many songs are on here.
Yeah.
All the same songs.
See, I really like this album. I really like this album. I don't really know what more I can say. Is to me, if you're looking for a brand new classic Metallica album,
This one.
I would say that would be it.
It's a great album. Every time I put it on, I'm like, I love it. It's great.
Yes.
And then I take it off, and I'm like, I can't sing anything. I can't remember anything. Nothing stands out. When the song starts playing, I don't know which one I'm hearing.
Do you when you listen to this, do you listen to the songs and say, hey, you know what, Lux Eternum?
Yeah.
wow, that's Whiplash with different lyrics.
No, see, I never
do you-
think no.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but as a person who makes these sort of videos and talks on YouTube and everything, I don't hear it 9 times out of 10. I don't compare songs, and I hear that from other people, and I would go, wow, I would love to be able to listen to something and go, oh, this song sounds like Whiplash. But whenever I do my reviews and I break down and say, let's talk about some of the songs, and I talk about the songs, I just talk about, you know, the sound of it, you know, an intro, the type of lead, whatever it might be, meaning literally talking about the song. Whereas I hear other people that will do it and they'll say, oh, this sounds like a classic track, could have been off Master of Puppets, whatever. I don't know, I don't hear that.
Yeah, and that's why I asked you, because I've heard that over the past couple of years, that they were comparing certain songs to some of their previous written material.
And I think if you hear that, I can understand why people would say it's maybe a modern day classic or it's a throwback to that. I don't hear that when I listen. Maybe it's just because I am very much a new music person. I live for the new album. It is, I've worn out my old ones, you know what I mean? And this is brand new. This is, I get to devour this, right? And then I sit down and I have that moment with it. And my mind is thinking it's new and I don't want it to be anything else. And I'm not putting that out, but I wonder if because of the way my mind goes into these things as newness, I specifically don't hear it.
The thing that shocked me with this, and I'm sure you would agree, how it suddenly appeared.
It did come out of seemingly nowhere.
But the other thought I have is, I believe there was 8 years between Hardwired and...
Is there? I know it was a long time,
I think there was an 8 year...
2016 to 2023, so 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, because this appeared out of nowhere...
I mean, we knew they were recording it for 3 years. And I know that because Lars would come out and say, we're going to the studio, or the Kirk says, I had 250 ideas on my phone, right? There was a couple things like that. But you're right, there was no big reports. They didn't go on and say, hey, we're in the studio hanging out, we're making an album. Nothing like that. It just, like you said, appeared.
Yeah. So I'm curious. They really can't go another 7 years. So do you think maybe
they were saying that they were only going to go 10 more years when they
as
released
a band?
it as a band? They came out saying that at the time, that they so it wasn't like, oh, we're going to end in 10 years. It was sort of like, we see ourselves going at least another 10, and they sort of put caveats on it, and it was like, well, crap, then this could be your last album. Like, you know, maybe we're going to get one more in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about it, can you see a band like Lars or James at 70 years old picking the way they pick, or drumming the way he drums?
Yeah, no, I don't. But then I can't see half of the bands doing what they're doing, and then they're still out there doing it at 60.
The Stones.
They're doing it. Yeah, well, that's
different music.
Different music, and it's a lot of rhythm chords and stuff.
But when you watch Mick at 80 years old go from, it just blows my mind.
I can't even fathom how he can still do that.
Yeah. I
and
can't
for the longest time, Ozzy could do his bat jump, or whatever they called that thing, you know, off the ground. You know, and he was doing that into his 60s, and you know.
Yeah. Now, when you look at Metallica's full collection, what's the one album that you never go back to, or the one you go least?
The one I go least to. All right. I mean.
Oh, I didn't get to that.
Now, not that I don't like it. I just know it. I know it inside and out. I don't like the production on it. It's too raw. I really like the band starting with this album here. So when I'm thumbing through the collection, I almost never ever pull this out.
Really?
But now, if we're talking about an album I don't go back to based on sound, the current one is actually this one. And I know it's only been a year, so I can't say a lot of this. And prior to that, it would have been this one.
Wow.
But again, it's not that I hate these, even though I made a video called Albums I Hate. There's things I hate about it, but I don't hate the album. Sweet Amber is a great song.
Yes.
On this. The Untamed Feeling, All Within My Hands, stuff like that. But there's elements, his vocal style, where he lets his vocals crack
Yes.
in it. There's stuff like that it's just, that part I hate. And it's things like that when I'm looking at this, I remember those things. I go, God, the vocals aren't great. It's got that stupid drum beat. I don't like the production. The songs are too long. I don't get solos. I'm going to go for something else.
Yeah.
Right? And that happens in a millisecond,
Yeah,
right?
no,
it's not like I sit there and stare
and
at
I
these and
understand.
think those things.
For me,
What do you skip?
I reload.
Oh, really?
And because other than the singles, to be
Yeah.
honest, I can't think of anything.
This was, I felt, the album that should have been Load. I think they should have released this instead of Load.
And Load,
It just got heavier.
yeah, and for me, Load is one of my favorite albums from them.
I do love that one too.
You still gotta pursue the wrongful arrest from her.
Yeah, just
There's for me, you know, like you
I
got
love
Fuel,
Unforgiven too.
Memory Remains,
Yeah.
Unforgiven too. But then after that, I can't think of one song,
the songs
off
off
the
here.
top of my
Low
head.
Man's Lyric. I love that one.
Is that the one? Does this have Mama Said on it, or does
No,
Load
that's
have Load?
Load has it, which was great.
Yeah,
Lenny Kravitz's mama
but
said.
Yeah, I wish Metallica would do.
but
do
yeah,
a
when I
version of
think
that.
of these two albums,
Yeah.
maybe I would have enjoyed it more if
Uh-huh.
they did release it together as a double
I
disc.
yes,
Um,
I think so too. I think it would have done way better had they done that.
But when I got this album after having Load for a little bit, I was really
They were
disappointed
released.
in this.
I think they were only released 1 year apart.
Yes.
Like Load 96.
Yeah, and they
okay,
were
this is 97.
So
yeah.
when this came out, I was really excited
Yeah.
about it, and
Yeah.
then I was like, oh, maybe this is why they released it second.
I did feel like they were sort of quote throwaway songs. Look at that. Anthony's just unwrapped the Rat Out of the Cellar album, and
That's
he's
a nice
showing
color
us.
disc.
That's beautiful color. Oh, all right. Back to Metallica. Rat versus Metallica. That's what we
Rat every day.
Yeah, I'll take Rat hands down. Sorry, Metallica fans. I think they would expect Rat or Metallica if you could only have one.
I mean, I love Rat because I
know you got a
grew
bunch
up with it, but
of glam metal
But you
fans
know-
here talking about Metallica.
But for Metallica, for me, is like Mike Tyson in his prime. Pound for pound.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Great way to put it.
Just
That
pound
is.
for pound. I mean,
Yeah.
the music,
Oh yeah.
the live show.
Oh, their whole
just,
thing.
Their
The
whole
experience,
package.
yeah.
You know, and I think what makes Metallica better than the rest,
Uh-huh.
and I don't mean band-wise, just their marketing.
It's marketing. They have curated, like you said, it's the sound, it's the presence, it's a performance, everything, and they're not. But I think part of this goes back to their band role, which I think they've let slide a little bit now. But it
What I'm
was
saying is
you're
look
not
at the
allowed to
label.
be in any other
I
bands
don't wanna
outside
talk out
of
loud.
Yeah.
Metallica. Metallica's your thing, everything. So they completely controlled how everything was released, promoted,
I don't even know
and
what
put
it is.
out there. And I think that's been an advantage to them.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things that they do
Mm-hmm.
is I love
said
the
you
fact
do.
I love the fact that when I go to a concert of theirs, I can then order that concert on CD,
That is really cool.
which I wish all bands
I don't
would
know.
do that.
I don't know why they don't.
It can't be a lot of money because it's
No.
all coming from the soundboard.
They have to mix it for the soundboard anyways. Now you've got a digital copy of it.
You know, and
That
that's
is
what
really
I love.
cool. Yeah,
I love that. And
I just wish after every tour these bands would do a compilation of the best of those performances and then physically put that out to stores.
like
So-
Iron Maiden. Maiden pretty much does
I mean,
that
yeah,
a lot.
anytime. Well,
Yeah.
anytime they put out a live
Rush.
album, yes. Mostly it was collected from different shows.
I'd rather have the full show. I don't want a best of conglomerate.
No.
I want every show on a tour.
I'm just saying, making it right. I still want that.
What do you mean? Do a live album for every tour.
Yes, do yeah, and then
That's
put out a
not bad
live
idea.
album.
Live album for every tour.
And put that out for the mass market people. But
know
then if you're the
why.
diehard,
Okay,
you go to
that's
the
fine. One
website.
of
You
these
can order
came in
every show that
collection.
you want.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with it. And that's one of the
But-
beautiful things that they do. They're always thinking of new stuff, and
Yeah.
I really think they paved the way. And I'm really surprised that a lot more bands don't copy them on some things.
I know they don't, but then you could see that with other bands, complete other genre, but U2 is kind of the same way. The way they do their marketing and how they do it and what they release and when they do it and their shows and these full-on tours that are supporting and promoting, and it's an event. And then they move on to something completely different after that.
Yes.
Metallica does that. Now they do it in completely different ways, and I don't think either one
wasn't, I said,
copying
well.
the other here.
No.
But you have bands that do this and do it so well that I'm, like you, surprised more bands don't get out there
Yeah.
and set up their image the same
Yeah,
way.
I just think that people don't think of other ways to make money. You know, obviously album sales today
Aren't.
you're not making money, but
Maybe if you fucking priced them right, you'd make some money.
Even Metallica,
Considering what it costs to manufacture.
who got their own record
and they're still
pressing
banging
plant,
you in the butt.
and they're still banging it. Yeah, exactly.
Not
I mean,
okay.
You know.
And this is all, and if I'm correct, I think the last couple albums, it's all them, right?
Yes.
They got their masters.
Blackened.
They do their own.
It's all on Blackened Records
So
now.
they're smart. They don't have to sell 2 million albums anymore. If they sell
Yeah.
300,000, they're probably making the same amount of money as
money.
they did back in the 90s.
Doesn't that make them assholes? Because
No.
aren't you trying to reach more people and get that music into the hands of the fans instead of charging $40 for a record that cost you $10 to make, maybe?
They don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah,
But
and
they
that
are.
but okay, so
Yeah.
that makes you an asshole, then, right? Doesn't that put you in a
Well-
like a fuck you category?
Well,
But-
they said they were buying the record pressing plant so
They
that
did.
they could get the albums out quicker, faster.
Yeah.
And I
Never said cheaper.
I don't know. I think
Jerks.
I bet you if we
Same
go
thing.
back, they might have.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
please.
you know, it wasn't
Yeah.
but Lars was frowned upon, right? When he went after Napster.
I think they had every right to.
Now we do.
Yeah. Oh,
But back in
yeah.
the day, everybody wanted to murder them.
Well, it's the same thing when bands tried to go after used
much
record
work to do.
stores selling used records because they're saying, we're not getting a cut of that. And then ultimately it was just, you can't stop that.
That's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I understand it though. It's I mean, although when an artist, when you sell a print, a painting, and then that person it goes up in value, and then that person sells it again, the artist doesn't get a cut of that
No
too.
cut.
So
Yeah.
I guess it's one and the same. But okay, so I don't think you. Oh no, you did. You said load or reload.
Reload is my
Reload. You don't go back.
No,
to.
not at all.
What do you think is the most underrated album?
Most underrated. Wow.
Death Magnetic
Yeah, right.
or Saint Anger.
Yeah,
you know
Saint
what?
Anger too.
I would
But-
I would agree with you. I think that's magnetic.
I don't know, man. I love
I
this
think
album,
that's a
and
great
yet,
comeback
Fucking
album.
massive.
People. In most cases, when I've done album rankings, I've done other different things, and people always come back to and don't like Death Magnetic.
Now I agree with you and Ant.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm for you with Death Magnetic.
Yeah,
Great album. Great album.
great album. So all in all, though, I think we like all the albums.
Yes.
But there's such a wide variety and style from early '80s thrash into what became the new thrash of the early '90s. It was more commercial thrash, I guess we were calling it. And then they do Load and Reload, which is almost hard rock. There was very little thrash on it. Saint Anger, I don't know what we're calling it, but they tried to reinvent metal. And then they're coming back
Oh, no.
to what I think is a new version of their classic sound.
Yes.
It's classic, but it's not that earlier sounding stuff. And for me, I felt this was a great
How
modern
old is that
sounding
woman?
version of themselves.
I agree.
I feel like they went too far with Hardwired to
She would be
self-destruct.
more of an adult.
But I
than
love it.
Yeah.
I listen to it, man.
No,
I
I do.
devoured
like
that
it,
at the
and
time.
I really loved their last album, 76 Seasons was great.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you can get a Metallica cover song,
Yes, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I love the most recent one they did with Deep Purple.
Yes.
That was fantastic. So
love
there you
it.
go, guys. That is our sort of discussion, review, comparison of the Metallica albums. Let us know which one you like the most, but also, too, you're a Ride the Lightning fan?
Oh, I'm every Metallica album. I've
Oh,
got
okay.
them all. I've seen them 20 times. I don't know.
What do you think is the most underrated
I'm
album?
already spent
Most
today.
underrated album?
Yeah.
I
I
walked
think it's
in and
Saint Anger.
Thursdays are
Ah, so there you go. There's another Saint Anger fan.
you go.
I would love for this video to pull all of the Saint Anger fans out, and we could see that album is actually more popular than we tend to
and
think
don't
that
be
it is.
shy.
Yeah.
Let us know.
No, let us know. Exactly. I mean, it sold 2 million copies.
Yeah.
It can't be that bad.
No,
right?
it's not. It's not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
All right. Thanks, guys.
What's the name of
Thanks,
the band?
Vito.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
All
joining
right,
in
man.
again.
Take care,
And we'll
everybody.
talk
There's a
soon.
really shitty bar.